Hello, hi. Welcome to the new video. Here is one of the interview experience I came up with, and I'm going to share the questions as well as the answers also. Okay, and it was a role for DevSecOps interview, and with 3.5 years of experience. And I already shared first round of interview, and after long time I got a second round interview update, and it was conducted by a client. I don't know the client name also, but the parent company was Incedo. And after some 20 to 25 days, I got the update regarding the further discussion like that. Okay. And as a part of this, I mean, the second interview was conducted. And without further ado, let's enter into the video, and I am going to share a clear-cut responses also from my end, and also I strongly suggest you do some hard work from your end and try to answer and then consider my responses also. Don't consider only my responses. Along with my responses, you need to do some research and analysis also from your end, especially if you are preparing for jobs. Okay. And also one more thing, like many comments are getting regarding interview calls and schedulings. So how you are getting so many calls and all. So I already said in some of the videos. So keep a certain consistency in your job application, especially focus on Naukri. Okay, like whatever the calls I was receiving, it was mostly from Naukri only, and there are some referrals and some. Like I went directly through the company portal and applied there. From there also I got some updates, but primarily I focus on Naukri only, and try to minimize your notice period and fake your information. That's what I said, if you are especially preparing for interviews. Okay, and without further ado, let's enter into the video. Okay, the first question was, can you brief your technology exposure on security side? Whenever you are going with the first question, so they may ask only kind of a small question, and sometimes the interviewer also explain about them and then ask about yourself. So just to start with, whenever you are, whenever they ask specifically. This kind of questions. Okay, why? Because it was already a second round and they already have your resume. They don't want to know all about your experiences, like earlier where you worked on what technology, all the things worked. Okay, they are looking primarily for security role and SecOps role, and they are looking they are expecting what they are looking for your response. What is your exposure towards the security? Okay, so if you come across this particular kind of questions, try to fulfill their requirement only. Okay, don't exceed behind of that. And some cases they will ask generic questions. Can you go ahead and explain yourself like that? In that case, you can explain complete your old experience, your technology and tool stack completely. You can explain. Okay, you can take some 3 to 4 minutes and explain. And here how I answer was, I work primarily as a DevSecOps engineer, and I use AppSec tools in various placeholders in the software development lifecycle, various categories I can say, that is SCA, software composition analysis, SAST, static application security testing, DAST, dynamic application security testing, and secret detection, container scanning, cloud security, IAC security, secret management, governance and reporting. These are the different AppSec tooling I have worked, and in SCA I have used Snake, WAPS dependency check, especially for license management purpose, license checks. And for SAST and DAST, I used Fortify as a tool, and for secret detection, Trufflehog and Git leaks I have used, and container scanning I have used Trivy and Aqua security tools, and for cloud security I have used CSPM, and IAC, infrastructure as a code security. I have used Terraform, and secret management. I have used Azure Secret Manager, AWS Secret Manager, and some third-party vaults also. And this is how you can explain. Okay, and moving to the next question: how do you integrate the security tools through the software development lifecycle? Basically, in software development lifecycle, there are a plan or design phase, then code, after that build, test, deploy, and feedback. Deploy, run, feedback, like that. Okay, that is kind of loop, right? So in plan and design phase, there is a threat modeling. And then in the code phase, we used to integrate the security tools in the IDE level itself with the help of plugins. And then in the build phase, there is a SCA, SAST, and container build tools. In the build stage itself, we can set up limits in the thresholds. In those particular tools, whatever the Fortify or SonarQube or Snake, Trivy, whatever the tools we are using, we can set up a kind of quality gate where that will fail whenever there is a critical or high severity was found. And in the testing phase, we integrated a dashed scan where that will detects and scans the up and running applications. And in the deploy, we have OPA policy gatekeeper, and while in the run state, there is a cloud security posture management tools. And in the feedbacks, like whatever the ticket tooling is there, like ServiceNow, Zira, and that will basically trigger a incident to the concerned team, and that will make sure to, they will make sure to maintain a concerned SLO and SLS and OLS for smooth running of operations. Okay, and moving to the next question: what is the difference between SCA and SAST? Basically, SCA is software composition analysis, where it will scans it for third party and some open source dependencies for known CVEs and licenses. And also it will get a metadata based information. And then we also use tools like Snake, Trivy, and WAP's dependency check for SCA purpose. And SAST is basically static application security testing, where we are going to scan the source code for insecure patterns and some WAP's top 10 like cross-site scripting, SQL injection, and like these are will be the will come under the SAST. And Fortify is the one of the tool for SAST. SonarQube is one of the tool for SAST. And then moving to the next question: how do you make the customization of Fortify tools for clients? So basically it was regarding the customization. Somewhere in my answer, I mentioned in my project, we were using Fortify as a SAST and dashed and also for SCA. And here, how do you customize those particular Fortify tools for client purpose? Okay, so basically there is a rule pack tuning, which is we can enable kind of restriction rules. Also we can disable irrelevant ones to reduce the noise in the scan. And profiles per language we can create, like whenever we are scanning the Java or else some front-end languages or some back-end languages. Accordingly, we can segregate them and create a dedicated isolated applications. And there is a user interface will be provided, and we can customize there also. And we can set up a quality gates also whenever we can set up a quality gate like no new critical or high CVEs, and existing technical debt tracked with the target burnout. this kind of quality gates we can set up, and also we can integrate this into a pipeline, and where we can run a parallel scans, and we can the output will be generated in FPR format, and we can push that into a SSC. The SSC is basically a software software security center, where it is like a dashboard, centralized dashboard. And we can also maintain a role-based access as per the view. As per the user, we can give dedicated role, and that particular role only have whatever the policies or whatever the permissions which is attached to that particular role. Okay, so these are the customizations we can give, and similar question can be expected in another kind of tools, or like whatever the tool tech stack whatever you are using in your project. So this kind of questions will be expected. Okay, why? Because they are looking for candidate who already worked, or else who have enough knowledge on that particular tools, so they are testing that particular knowledge. Okay, and moving to the next question: how do you implement security as a code in infrastructure and application deployment part? It is basically security as a code. It is kind of a pipeline as a code, we can say. Okay, so here, whenever we are implementing security as a code, it covers both the infra and application deployment. So in the infra, we are using Terraform, where Terraform modules enforce some provision of infrastructure, and managing permissions and security controls will be done with the help of Terraform, and with the help of and also we can scan those security as a code policies with the help of TFSec, YOE or Trivy. Okay, and there is a open policy agent especially used for Kubernetes, and that is also one of the security as a code. And if you see the question, it was especially security as a code in infrastructure and application deployment part both. And it was whatever the infra Terraform OPA policy agent, these are comes under the infrastructure part. And in application deployment part, whatever the SAST tools or SCA tools or SBOM tools, whatever we are using, and setting up certain quality gates in those particular tools by using those tools. So that is also comes under security as a code. Okay, so let's say if you are scanning some source code and you are using SonarQube, so whenever there is some high CVE criticality, or some critical or high CVEs was found, obviously that is not supposed to occur, right? So for better quality maintenance purpose, we are failing the particular pipeline to do not to move to the further stages. Okay, so that is also using some arguments in the command line CLI itself in the pipeline. So that is also a kind of security as a code. Okay, and moving to the next question: is there security or quality gate in Fortify? So basically in Fortify there is a security and quality gate. So by using Fortify SSC, we can define application or project policies where that will shows the severities and categories, and that will enforce the gates in CI, continuous integration pipeline, via the Fortify plugins that will talk through the REST APIs. And we can set up a gate in such a way where pipelines fail if the SSC policy isn't meet the requirement. Like if, let's say, if any critical or high CVE vulnerability was found, so a pipeline should fail in that particular stage itself. And yeah, that was the answer for that. And moving to the next question, what will be the output file generated in Fortify scan? Basically, in Fortify, the primary artifact is in .fpr. So .fpr was the Fortify project results, the full form was, and we can upload this particular .fpr to a SSC, and also we can export the output results in .pdf format or CSV or XML reports. And moving to the next question, for container security, how do you use Trivy in your pipeline? Basically, the Trivy can be used through the CLI, command line utility. We are going to define a dedicated stage in a pipeline, like in the build stage. So we can use a command like, first of all, we need to install a Trivy exe file, and then we can run this particular command, Trivy image -FN format, whatever the format we need. Let's say if it is JSON, then that will be a Sarif, and the output a Trivy.Sarif image, whatever the image we need to scan, that particular image name we need to give. Okay, so let's say if you wanted to generate a SBOM, we can use Trivy SBOM -FN format. There is a two formats, CycloneDX and SPDX. We can give any of them, and then -FN output, and then whatever the image name we need to generate a SBOM, that particular image name, and then that will basically gives a output, and in that particular Jenkins root directory, you can see the that particular stage generated here, the SBOM results, or like whatever the SCA results we are scanning with the help of Trivy. Okay, and also we can set a condition with the kind of arguments, we can say -FN severity, critical, high. If we set up in this particular case, whenever the severity, critical and high severities are found, then basically it will exit the pipeline. For that also we need to give a dedicated argument, -exit -code space 1. Basically, whenever there is a non-zero code, the pipeline will fail. Okay, so we are saying whenever there is a severity is critical or high, then the exit code should return 1. That means obviously non-zero code. So basically that will fail a pipeline. Okay, so that is the how we can integrate a Trivy in a pipeline. And moving to the next question, what will be the key security constraints or considerations will you take when you start implementing a pod security standards in EKS clusters? So EKS is basically Elastic Kubernetes Service, which is offered by Azure, and here in this particular case we are going to consider certain there are certain considerations we need to be taken. So first of all, we need to make sure to choose a baseline where we need to restricted profile for pod. There is a dedicated, that particular profile need to be restricted, and ensure via and also we can host access can be blocked. We can block the PID, IPC network, or host path volumes, and these compatibilities, system admin, these compatibilities will be blocked. This is also one of the consideration we need to do. And also make sure whenever we are in the Docker file, we are not supposed to use latest tag for the base image. Okay, so and also we need to make sure to enforce signature in the image, and the image repository, that is basically a registry, Docker Hub, let's say, that should be that should be private. Okay, let's say if you are using Elastic Container Registry, which is AWS service provider, then that particular registry also should be private. Okay, like whatever the registry we are using, that should be private. And also whenever we are considering the network level, we need to make sure we need to defaultly deny the network policies, and then we need to ingress control to only the required services, and in the secrets we need to mount from Vault or ESO, and also make sure to avoid a secrets need to storing in environment variables, and we need to make sure to use a like some gatekeepers, policy gatekeepers to audit, and that will enforce that will test basically in low level environments before going into a production levels. And that is basically how we need to admission the cluster. Okay, so these are the some considerations we need to take. And moving to the next question, how do you implement network segmentation and micro-segmentation in Kubernetes? So we need to make sure to use a namespaces, especially for per domain or tenant, and resource codes and role-based access controls. Whatever the scope for which is scoped for namespaces, that we need to make sure to ensure. And then we need to defaultly deny the network policies and the cluster, in the cluster wide, and we need to allow explicit app to app and app to DP and egress to required IPs. Okay, so we need to by defaultly deny this network and communication channels. Okay, and also we need to use a layer 7 policies if we are using a CNI that supports it. Okay, and then we need to separate the ingress as well as egress gateways, and we need to isolate a admin components. And for hybrid environments, especially the connectivities, we need to maintain private subnets, and that should be controlled egress via the NAT gateways or firewalls, and we need to restrict a pod for ports, and better to prefer ingress and or a service mesh. And coming to the observability, we need to make sure test policies with staging, like policy dry run, like that, and periodically we need to validate with probes. And moving to the next question, how will you implement least privileges access using roles and policies using a Terraform modules? So to implement the least privileges with roles and policies via the Terraform modules, we need to make sure we need to maintain a module pattern, like IAM role. We need to give a module inputs, like assume principles, actions, resource arms, conditions, permission boundary, max session duration. This like module inputs need to be used, and also we need to make sure to follow certain practices, one role per use case, and no like all, that means star in actions or resources. That is basically whenever we include star, that will like whatever the permissions we are working with, or services we are working with, or resources, okay, that will basically give all the resources access, all the permissions, like that. So avoid that. And also we need to make sure to follow as a best practice that is permission boundaries on every role, and we need to make sure to maintain a continuous integration gates, like access analyzer, conf states, and tfsec or checkov. Okay, this is basically to deny some wild cards or some required boundaries we need to set up. Okay, let's say a role for S3 read on a single bucket prefix with Rego. We need to test to reject the broader changes. Okay, so that is the like some practices we need to be followed. And moving to the next question, can you explain in detail about AWS GuardDuty CloudTrail and for threat detection and compliance part? Basically, a guard duty is like ML model, we can say, and also that includes threat intel over VPC flow, domain name system, DNS, CloudTrail, EKS audit, S3 data events. It will basically detect compromised keys, some crypto mining, data flakes, data expels, and anonymous IAM activities that will be identified with the help of GuardDuty. And in CloudTrail, it is basically a immutable audit for all API calls, and there will be a KMS also, key management system, encryptions, and access logs used for compliance evidence and RCA purpose. Basically, this CloudTrail and GuardDuty together provides a audit fabric, and GuardDuty raises the actionable findings, let's say unauthorized access, IAM users, or some console logins. So that will be find out with the help of GuardDuty, and the CloudTrails, which that will basically provides a some audit like information, audit logs, we can say. Okay, and it will also helps us to automation where and moving to the next question, how do you prevent a Terraform state files to prevent unauthorized access to those particular files? So to prevent unauthorized access to Terraform state, we need to maintain a remote backends like S3 as a remote backends with SSE EKS, bucket policy scoped to CI roles or else infra roles also, and we need to explicitly specify only a public no public access, and block non-TLS, and we need to maintain a state locking mechanism with the DynamoDB IAM allows get put only on specific key prefixes, and we can access, we can specify the access types. Most users are like that, and audit, we can specify CloudTrail on S3 or DynamoDB, GuardDuty alerts on some anomalies, and note secrets in state. We need to make sure to use a secret manager like AWS Secret Vault or SSM and some third-party vaults, and we need to avoid putting credentials as Terraform values, and Also, we need to maintain a PR gates, pull request gates. We can maintain check YOE rules to ensure backend encryption and access policies access policies present. And moving to the next question, how do you handle credential rotation in Jenkins and GitHub? Basically, a credential rotation in Jenkins and GitHub, we need to follow a principle where no long-lived credentials, and we need to fetch if there is any short-lived credential token at runtime, especially runtime. And in GitHub, we can use the GitHub app or some fine-grained PAT with expiry date, and we need to rotate the keys via the automation where we can store only in the sensitive data need to be stored only in secret manager. Okay, and in the Jenkins we can integrate AWS secret manager or some third-party worlds where Jenkins pulls the secrets dynamically with the help of Vault plugin and with the help of AWS TST via the roles aligned. And the rotation part, we can schedule, there will be a scheduled jobs or native engines where we can say Vault secret engines, AWS IAM access key rotation, where that will basically old keys automatically revoked and dependence system upgradation will be done. And coming to the audit part, where GitHub ORG audit logs or Jenkins jobs logs, credential IDs only, where we can also alert on failed rotation. Like that mechanism we can set up, and this is how we can handle the secret credential rotation in Jenkins and GitHub. And moving to the last question, can you explain your approach on managing a false positives from the security scanning tools? Basically, managing false positives from security scanners, we need to start restrict on new code, where that will set up a gates on whatever the new or critical vulnerabilities was found out. And we can set up baseline and suspensions, where that will create an we can create an initial baseline version controlled suppression files, and also we can maintain a justification workflow that whatever the suspension we are doing, every suspension has CWE and context as well as reason and approver and also the corresponding expiry date. And one more method was manual validation for critical. We need to make sure to confirm exploitability, like what is the data flow, how the sanitization is happening, and what is the reachable code. Basically manual validation for critical CVS is required. And also rule tuning is important, where we can disable irrelevant rules per stack, and we can add custom sanitizers in Fortify, and we can refine the git leaks regex, and also we can review the quarterly, we can review cadence quarterly. Basically that is a revalidation, we can say, for exceptions or some expiry dates might be completed. And we need to educate your developers also. And in the tools user interface, let's say Fortify SSC, that will basically follow, provides a option to suppress the option, and that will be marked suppress in each and every iteration in the further cycles. So that kind of options also we need to check, and that is how we can manage the false positives by using your tools. Yeah, these are the questions and answers, and I think so you found this video helpful, and stay tuned for more videos. Thank you so much for watching the video. And also one more thing, I was attaching the questions in the description. Kindly check it out, and consider sharing the video with your colleagues or friends who are in the preparation stage or in the same situation. Okay, and stay tuned for more videos. Thank you once again.